And I say, I figured it out, but you're going to have to eat more and exercise less. And she looks at me and she goes, what, are you crazy? There's no way I'm going to do that.
Girl, you've got questions. Questions about your body and how to feel good in it, about your hormones and how to keep them in check. Questions about your sex life and your whole health. Can you imagine having a best girlfriend who was also a triple board certified OBGYN? A girlfriend doctor you could call and ask or tell her anything. Someone who could show you how to live any stage of life, before, during, or after menopause, in a big, bold, and beautiful way. Well, friends, I'm your girlfriend doctor. I believe you are meant to flourish and shine, to embrace life and awaken to all its possibilities. Let's get there together. Welcome to our show. Thermogenesis. What does it mean to you? Are you tired of having a metabolic stall, being weight loss resistant, hitting that plateau and feel like you're doing everything right? Well, there's a state called thermogenesis, or getting into the thermogenic state, that puts you in that fat burning mode. And it's harder to get there the older we get, for both women and men. And I've heard from so many women that they're doing better. They're getting in shape with the keto green plan, and then they hit a plateau, but they also want to bring their guy along with them. So the fat dad bod syndrome, it's troublesome, and it hurts our ego, it hurts our performance, right? And I hear that from so many guys as well. So I'm excited to be here with you, and our guest today is an expert in really breaking that weight loss plateau using the trilogy of nutrition, cardio, and weight, and how important that is. Stu is a friend of mine. He has been in the fitness industry for over 20 years and has worked with celebrities from around the country. He specializes in this area to get you burning fat 24/7. So I wanted to bring him on. His story, I mean, he suffered with anorexia in his teens. And then when he overcame his eating disorder, he realized he wanted to help people create their perfect body in a healthy, sustainable way. And he's amazing. You'll hear his heart-centered conversation and learn about his quadrant approach to getting into the thermogenic state and getting into fat burning. I know you'll love this episode. Let me introduce you. Welcome, Stu. It's great to have you here on my Girlfriend Doctor show. It's been a long time coming, and we've got a lot to talk about. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. And I'm so excited to be here too. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, I'm just reflecting now as I sit here talking with you and looking at you, is that when we were recently in California, a month or so ago, and I was working out with Deborah Atkinson in the gym, and you were there, and we were watching your workouts and getting some tips and help. And, it was just fun to interact and work out with you guys. I heard after that workout, I heard for 3 days, just so you know.
Oh, okay. It was an intense workout. You guys were having fun too.
Oh yeah, and it was really nice. It was good to be there and good to see you working out and really in your element. And Deborah, I still hate her for that, but it was good. It was good. Now, love her for that, and love you for that too. So let's go. I want to hit. We hit this metabolic plateau, right? We hit this decrease in ability to build muscle mass. And this is true, especially for menopausal women, but it's really true for everyone as we hit near and surpass the golden age of 50. And so I want to dig into that a little bit and really dive into your expertise in thermogenesis. And let's hit on what that is and why it's so important to understand.
Okay, yeah. So you mentioned thermogenesis, but I always, you may see it if anyone looks, I always call it the thermogenic state. So either way, that's what it's called. And I actually kind of oddly discovered this in 2009. I had a woman who came to me who wanted to lose weight. And I remember it clearly. I was actually finishing my lunch, which happened to be a chicken breast with rice and guacamole that day. And I hear a knock on my door in the office, in the gym. And I look up and there's this woman who's still sweating, and her face is still red. And she's saying, I really need to lose weight. And I've tried everything and I can't lose weight. And I'm thinking, okay, at the time I was a relatively new trainer. And honestly, I was a little bit arrogant. I hate to admit it. But I thought in my mind what all trainers think. And all trainers think, okay, you just reduce calories and you increase the exercise, and that's how you lose weight. And so she had said I had tried Atkins, I had tried fasting, I tried the zone diet, the Mediterranean diet, the South Beach diet. I mean, she listed everything. And I still was convinced, okay, she's probably just still getting too many calories. Well, lo and behold, I talk her into working with me. 5 weeks later, she hasn't lost a pound. And I'm devastated, and she's devastated. I'm thinking, I might as well give up the profession. I thought I knew what I was doing. Now, she was working out 60 to 90 minutes every single day, and she was eating between 1,000 and 1,100 calories. I mean, and she was starving and had cravings and all this stuff. So I go on this 2-week research quest, deep dive, and at about day 10, I figure out what's going on. There's something called repressed metabolic syndrome. And essentially what happens is if you diet too much, too many different diets, or too extreme of diets, or diet too long, and you're over exercising, what happens is the body essentially shuts down. And instead of burning fat, what happens is it starts burning muscle and storing fat, and it makes it virtually impossible to lose weight. So I go back to Ashley and I say, Ashley, I figured it out, but you're going to have to eat more and exercise less. And she looks at me and she goes, what are you, crazy? There's no way I'm going to do that. No way. I'm going to gain so much weight. Now, she had a pattern where she could lose 3 to 5 pounds, but then she'd put it back on. And then over the course of a year, she'd put on maybe 10 pounds additional. And over the last 6 years, she had put on around 50 pounds. And she was just so frustrated. So I said, let's try it for a week. If you gain even 1 pound, we'll stop, but just try it for a week. It took me an hour to convince her. She said, okay. At the end of the week, she was down 2 pounds. And I'm thinking, this is fantastic. Well, she's not excited because she'd done that before. So she's like, okay, this is just my normal cycle. Well, then the next week, she's down another 2. And then again and again and again, and another and another and another. And after 12 weeks, she had lost 37 pounds of fat. And she goes, oh my, amazing. She go, how is this possible? I said, it's because we put your body into the thermogenic state. We fed it the way it's supposed to be fed, so it could activate the body's fat burning mechanism. We decreased your workouts so you weren't overstressing the body, and everything worked perfectly. Well, then I thought, Anna, holy cow, if it worked for Ashley, who was like, it was almost impossible for her to lose weight. Then I thought to myself, well, how would it work for my regular clients who are already losing weight? So I said, let me try it with them. So I tried it with them. And so what happened was they started losing weight almost twice as fast. And now, because they got to eat so much more and work out so much less, their cravings vanished. Their energy went through the roof. Their mental clarity went through the roof. They were like, this is fantastic, Stu. We can keep this up forever. We don't feel deprived. We don't feel like we're restricting. And we have so much more time because we're not spending hours a day in the gym. It was incredible. And so that's how I figured out this thermogenics.
So let's talk about that. So when they were, eating less and exercising more, what was happening to their metabolism? And now that they're eating more of the right foods at the right times and exercising less, let's talk about that.
And we can simplify it though. And this is what I've spent the last 12, 13 years doing is there's something I use called the food quadrant. And let me break that down. Essentially, there's 4 components to nutrition for optimizing your health, losing weight, burning off body fat, and really creating the body you want and being in control of your body. If you were to picture like a big plus sign, you have 4 little quadrants around that plus sign. And so the first quadrant is what you eat. The second is how much you eat. Now, most diets, that's where they start and stop. And quite honestly, if those are the only 2 components that you focus on, you have 2 options. You can either restrict foods or you can restrict calories, and that's it. On the other side of the food quadrant, you have something that's when to eat certain foods during the day and when not to eat certain foods during the day. Now, that's different from fasting. Fasting has a time slot for when to eat. This is what foods should you be eating in the morning or versus the afternoon versus the evening, and what foods should you not eat in the morning or the afternoon or the evening. And then the last piece is how to combine the right foods at each meal in order to have the right chemical reaction with your body, where it can not only cause your body to go thermogenic, where your body starts burning fat literally like a furnace, but also it normalizes your body. It normalizes your thyroid. It normalizes your hormones. It normalizes your blood sugar, insulin, all those things at the same time. That's where the real magic happens, is combining those four pieces of the food quadrant. And I remember there was a client who, and I'm in Colorado, so it's really, we have a lot of healthy people here. And this one woman came and she said, she swore, she was 48 and she swore her hormones were off. She had a thyroid issue or whatever, because no matter what she tried, she had 15 pounds left to lose. She had been trying for 7 years to lose them. She couldn't get them to budge. And I said, I can do it. I know how to do this. And she kind of scoffed and she's like, she goes, fine. If you can do it, then I'll pay you. And she kind of said, I'm not going to pay you unless you get results. And I said, fine. But if we get results, what's it worth to you? You know, that kind of a thing. And the first month she dropped 4 pounds. By the end of 8 weeks, she had dropped the 15. And she was like, OMG, Stu. She goes, if I'd have known it would have been this easy, I would have done this way a long time ago. This is insane. And it's because we really focused on not just what she was eating or how much, but when and how to combine those foods.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially like, you know, of course I have the keto green lifestyle. It's not just about what we eat, but sometimes I say it's only 25% about what we eat, but what we think when we eat, you know, how we're feeling when we eat, who we're eating with,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly the time of day and how often and all of those things that come into play. So I'm excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're shifting their metabolism by looking at these four quadrants. And that's a nice visual to have. And you can think of that four square and put each of those items in that quadrant. And our listeners can do the same right now. And so looking at that and addressing the individual, like walk us through the process.
Okay.
And you need to write a book, by the way, Stu. I'm waiting for your book.
I have a book. It's right here.
Wait, the Novo method.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's right here. It's just jam packed. So this is good stuff.
Wait, when did that book come out?
This book, this book secretly came out, I think in 2011, 2014, it secretly came out, but I haven't, it's like an underground that my clients get, but has never been released officially. So that's because this works so well. It's so.
The easy four quadrant method to break every weight loss plateau.
That's great.
Title it differently. But anyway, okay. You guys, we're going to work on some marketing for Stu here. He's brilliant and he's just so passionate about what he does and helping people. And it's just like, you know, like I was talking before we went on about the fat dad bod, and I really want the guys to come along the journey with the women. And it is amazing and beautiful to see when couples do this together. But, you know, this works just as well. If not, I will say if it works like for a menopausal woman, it works 2, 3, 4 times as well for a man. Mm-hmm. And so we really, you know, this is something you can do as a family. This is healthy.
Well, and the best part for the men is they get to eat so much. And so when you get to eat a lot, it's easy to maintain because you feel full, you have tons of energy, and your cravings go away because you're eating a lot. You get to eat foods you like. You know, it's not like a lot of these diets where you are so restricted or you're starving all the time. And so it makes a huge difference, especially men. Men love to eat, you know, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. So look at this. And so you talk about the 3 food mistakes 68% of women are making that cause fatigue, weight gain, and anxiety. And there are 2 things that works in all of your clients that help them lose those 2 to 3 pounds, sleep better, and clear the brain fog. So give us those tweaks, and we're gonna everyone write this down.
Okay, great. Yeah. So the 3 mistakes, and this will all go back to the food quadrant, but this is a great question because we're now going to apply some of the food quadrant here. The first mistake that I see a lot of people make when they try to lose weight And this has happened so many times for me where I used to work in a health club, and this particular health club had a lot of women. And I feel like this mistake is mostly mistake women make for whatever reason. And women would come to me all the time and they'd say the same thing. I'm eating healthy. I just can't lose weight. And I would say, well, let me see what you're eating. And when they would write down 3 days worth of food, like do food diary, I would say, aha. And it was always the same 3 mistakes. Number one, their snacks were fruit. Okay. So they would have fruit as a snack. Well, a lot of people don't know this,
Yeah.
but when you eat
so
fruit by itself, it has the same impact on your body as eating a cookie. And so these women were eating all these fruits during the day thinking, I'm eating healthy food. This is going to be great. I'm going to lose weight. And it was actually causing them to gain weight because fruit, although it's a healthy food, has the same insulin response as a cookie. And so it's sugar. And if you don't eat it at the right time of day and you don't combine it with the right foods, you're going to cause your body to gain weight. Okay. So that was the mistake number 1 I always saw. Mistake number 2 I always saw is they were eating carbs at dinner. And this goes into the timing component. When your body is in the evening, when your body's getting ready, we're mammals, Anna. And so we have these sleep cycles and our melatonin kicks in and our body starts slowing down around 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get ready for our sleep cycle. Otherwise, we'd have to eat every 2 hours. We'd have to wake up and go to the bathroom and drink water, and we wouldn't be able to sleep for a full 8 to 10 hours or however many hours people get. And so our body slows down. Well, carbohydrates are like pumping raw energy into the body. And so when you eat carbohydrates at night, the body goes, well, I don't need this energy. It has nothing to do with the food, so it stores it as fat. So even though they'd be eating healthy carbs, maybe brown rice or sweet potato or something like that, they were still pumping in all this energy and it would cause them to gain fat. So honest to God, I had a client, and not even a client. This was a person in the gym that I kept seeing repeatedly. And one day I did a workshop on abs and she said, I hit a plateau. And this is what I heard all the time. She goes, I hit a plateau. I go, well, what are you eating? And I said, take the carb out of your dinner. Just do that. And in 1 week, she dropped 5 pounds just from doing that. And she said, oh my gosh. I said, yeah, that's just, it's like, you got to have someone who knows how the body works. In addition, what most people also don't know, and they shouldn't know this because no one teaches it, is you become more insulin resistant towards the end of the day than in the beginning of the day. So the kinds of foods you eat in the morning should be different than the afternoon and should be different than the evening. So the other biggest mistake, so we got fruit, we got eating carbs at night. And the third mistake that people are making, and especially women, is they're not getting a good, complete protein at every meal. And let me explain what that means. There's different types of proteins. If you were to look at a bag of almonds, you would look at the nutrition label and it would say protein, but it's a different kind of protein. It's what's called an incomplete protein. And the reason it's called incomplete is because plant proteins don't have the entire amino acid profile like animal proteins do, say fish or chicken or red meat or things like that. And so a lot of vegetarians and vegans, they struggle because you have to combine a bunch of different animal proteins together to form a complete protein. And when you do that, a lot of times it really skews that combination, and it can be very difficult for the body to burn fat. And women fall prey to this more than men because men, for some reason, we just like to eat meat, most of us. That's a stereotype, but most men I've met, they love meat, all right? And a lot of women I've met are more like, how should I go plant-based? I don't eat a lot of meat. And a lot of women tend to struggle to get enough protein. And so if a woman's listening right now, if you're listening, if you increase and make sure you have a complete protein at every meal, you cut any carbohydrates out of dinner if you're eating carbohydrates, and you make sure you never snack on fruit, that alone, those 3 changes, you would probably lose 5 to 10 pounds just from doing that. And you'd probably drop 2 to 5 pounds the first week.
Yeah, no, I love that. And thank you for that. And it does emphasize, in the keto green way, it is about, intermittent fasting and no snacking in general. And then again, like when we're doing the same thing all the time, we need to change it up, right? We need to change it up, and that creates that metabolic flexibility. And so these tips really, again, so many, people making those mistakes. And again, once in a while, but it depends, it may be needed. Sometimes I encourage women who are having a hard time sleeping to have a sweet potato in the evening, but I want that to be like 5 or 6 p.m., not late night eating, right?
Hmm.
And so that can make a really big difference. We have to incorporate it. When we're hitting that weight loss plateau, we've got to just knock that out, really knock that out.
Well, night sweats, hot flashes, tossing, turning, covers on, covers off are one of the first signs that a woman who is approaching menopause experiences. Soon after, you may experience brain fog, fatigue, crashing fatigue, weight gain despite not doing anything different, as well as a decrease in libido. Well, that's when you want to definitely get on Mighty Maca Plus. Through over 10 years of clinical experience and hundreds of physicians that recommend this combination of superfoods that taste great, but they do the job. It is without a doubt the number one supplement you should be taking and trying. 100% risk-free. I want you to try it. So go to dranna.com and use the code SHOW10 to get 10% off your first order.
Let's talk about now, those 3 tips are really powerful. What about getting into this thermogenic state?
So the getting into the thermogenic state is really it's really fun. And I'll tell you why, because once you get into it, you have so much flexibility with what you can eat, and your body, it flips from easily gaining weight. Like, oh my gosh, if I look at a piece of bread, I gain weight and it's hard to lose. And it flips it and you go, man, I'm losing weight fast. And man, I just cheated and I barely gained any weight, and it comes right back off because your body's burning like a furnace. In fact, I just had a client. This is so funny. Her name's Kathy. She's in New York, and she goes, Stu, she hasn't been able to lose weight for 15 years. And in the first 3 weeks, she lost 10 pounds. And she goes, Stu, I know this sounds weird, but I kind of feel hot. And I said, that's a good sign, Kathy, because that means your body is going thermogenic. It literally cranks up the heat and your metabolism from the inside out. And so when I say you burn fat like a furnace, you do. You actually get warmer because everything is heating up and speeding up inside out. Now, you do that by a blend of 3 things: nutrition, weight training, and cardio. Okay. Now, the fourth thing.
I see your Venn diagram behind you.
Yeah, it's right here.
Perfect.
So there's one fourth thing that's not on the Venn diagram, and that's mindset. All these fall within the mindset, and you had mentioned that earlier. And I just want to make sure I don't neglect it. But we're talking about the physical components right now, and that's nutrition, which is number 1, by far more important than the other 2. Then weight training, which is even more important than cardio. Okay, so those are the 3. Now, this was really cool. There's a study done in 1997, the biggest study of its kind. 54,000 participants from coast to coast for 100 days. And what they were looking at is what's the optimum amount to exercise for health and weight loss. And not particularly just weight loss, but specifically fat loss. And what they found was that 3 days a week of weight training was optimum. 4th yielded no additional benefits. 5 and 6 and 7 days a week of weight training actually worked against you. It was too much. And 1 and 2 days, there was noticeably less results than the 3 days. So 3 days was optimum. And they found out that you really only had to work out with weights for about 30 minutes. So 30 minutes, 3 days a week with weights. So then they looked at the cardio. Well, what's the optimum cardio? Is it 6 days a week for an hour or 7 days a week? They weren't sure. And they found similarly that if you're doing the 3 days a week of weight training, you really also only need 3 days a week of cardio for about 30 to 45 minutes, but no longer than that. And the cardio and the weights, neither of them had to be very extreme in any way. So you didn't have to do HIIT, you didn't have to do sprinting or running or anything like that. You didn't have to do powerlifting. It was really simple, straightforward exercise. And what they found was that yielded the best results. And we're talking 30 to 40 to 50 pounds of fat loss in a 100-day period. So not just like a pound a week, but maybe closer to 2, 3, or 4 pounds a week of fat loss, of body fat loss, that's really essentially as fast as you can go with body fat loss without losing muscle. So essentially, when you weight train and you do the right kinds of exercises 3 days a week for 30 minutes, and you do cardio without doing it too hard, so you avoid overstressing the body the other 3 days for 30 minutes, we're talking 3 hours a week, Anna, total, and 1 day completely off. And then you apply this food quadrant that you and I have been talking about. Your body goes into a thermogenic state and things happen. Your body literally optimizes and you start burning fat. You start burning like a furnace. You preserve your muscle. Now, why is this important? A lot of women are listening and they're probably thinking, I don't want muscle. I don't want to look big. Well, in the olden days, and you've been around, so you know this, a lot of women would say, okay, I'm going to cut calories and I'm going to do cardio to lose weight. And then they'll lose the weight and they go, this is weird. I don't look like I thought I would look. I look kind of soft and flabby. What is going on here? Well, what we realized was that when you do the weight training and you eat correctly and you burn body fat, then when you lose the weight, you end up looking tight, firm, and toned. And that is what every single woman I've ever talked to wants to look like.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm just laughing here because you're like, Dr. Anna, you've been around. I'm like, yeah, I've been around. Way back when I was 13, I went with my mom to Elaine Powers. If anyone remembers Elaine Powers. And I did Jane Fonda at home and Denise Austin. Oh, I love Denise Austin. She was great, right? And I've been through, a love-hate relationship with working out my entire life, mostly do it because I have to. And I love how I feel when I leave the gym, but I never, ever, rarely ever want to go. But lately I got hooked on this infrared hot yoga and infrared hot sculpt classes, power sculpt classes. And it's an hour in intense heat, 97 degrees, if not more, but infrared. And you're, it's just pour out sweat and it's such an adrenaline lift and, epinephrine boost. Like when I leave there, I'm like, I'm like feeling drained, but yet exhilarated. I just really pumped up. I was doing it so often. I think it really I went over, like there's that hump too.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you keep at it. And yet your body's like, you just turned the wrong corner here. You've overdone it in a way. And since I've really been, traveling a bit and then just off of that, instead of 5-6 days a week, 1 or 2, 3 days a week right now, and sleeping in instead of getting up at 5:30 to go work out, I lost 5 pounds. I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, damn, because I was so addicted to it. I'm like, I love it. And that recognizing too, because as you say, and Deborah Atkinson, I did strong armor only to committing to 2 days of weightlifting exercises a week. I did strong armor into just 2 days of that. But I hear what you're saying. I hear your 3, and that's really important. Building muscle is so important as we get older. And I will say it burns weight when you sleep. It burns calories when you sleep. So tuning into your body and listening in. I know so many women have been addicted to certain forms of exercise, but changing it up and having that balance. So let's talk about that, like not doing the same thing all the time. And then I'd love for us, as we're nearing the end of this interview, I'd love for you to close with what a day in our life should look at like, especially incorporating these practices into our lives.
So repeat the first question.
I know, I tend to do that. My kids tell me that all the time. Can you just give me one thing to do at a time instead of 6 or 7? And so the biggest thing is the changing things up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So changing it up. Now this is funny because there's a lot of myths around this, and I think it really throws people off. And my philosophy is I always try to do things as simply as possible, because if you're feeling spunky, you can always go a little bit more complex, but most people, they feel overwhelmed anyway. And so with the eating or the exercise, I always try to go from a simple point of view, a simple place. And that's so when you change things up, here's the point. It doesn't have to be big changes. Okay. It could be changing the order of exercises that you do in a workout. It could be changing the body parts that you train each day. So let's say you were doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you were doing like an upper, lower, upper, or something like that. You could do lower, upper, lower. That change would be enough. So subtle changes are all that are really required, but still finding ways to change it. You could change the reps that you do. You could change how quickly you go through an exercise. You can change the kind of cardio. Maybe you're doing walking. Maybe you could change it to doing stairs or an elliptical or things like that. And then with the eating, this is really interesting. And you probably know a lot about this. Our body, if you eat the same thing too often, I don't know why the body does this. The body gets kind of exposed to something and creates antibodies. So then you can develop food sensitivity. So if you're like the kind of person who's like, I eat chicken for every meal because it's the lean meat poultry that'll help you lose weight. Well, over time, your body may actually develop a resistance to chicken. And so even if you switch to simply something like turkey, which is almost the same, but it's still different, or
I would just intervene with the issue of chicken, right? Considering it a weight loss food, but it really can cause weight loss resistance because it's high in linoleic acid, like in safflower oils, nut oils, seed oils, things like that. So we really want to limit that. And so maybe it's the chicken that's also contributing to the weight loss resistance too. I'm just finding that when we switch that out, there's multiple benefits.
Yeah, that's a great point. But even like switching to turkey or fish or different kinds of fish, if you're always eating salmon and you try halibut or vice versa, or just simple things like that are all that's required. You don't have to make a huge shift. And so a lot of people, I think, get a little bit deterred from doing changes because they got kids. They have a work schedule. They got the kids' school and sports schedule, and they're doing everything just to keep it together. And they're like, I can't change. It's just complicated enough already. And what I'm saying is you don't have to make big changes. You could do your same workouts, but change the order of exercises or change the reps or et cetera, what we just talked about. And oftentimes that can be enough of a change that it shocks the body.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. All right. And then my next question is a day in the life. Like what's the carving out? You would say, we're coming to you for the first time. We're coming to the amazing Stu Schaeffer. And we're like, Stu, I've been weight loss resistant. Help me bust this plateau. My light just fell down. Here we go.
This is a very unique question because it really depends on the individual. Okay. If you were to go to a coach and they said, oh, you just have to do this, I would probably run away from that coach because they really have like a one size fits all, which usually doesn't work. A good coach will look at you and say, there's three things that make what I call the sweet spot. One is, do you know it's going to work? Two is, do you like it? And three is, does it fit your lifestyle? Okay. And if it doesn't do those three, either you're not going to get great results or you're not going to be able to keep your results. All right. It could be the best program in the world, Anna, but if I told you, you have to exercise 2 hours a day and you have to eat chicken, broccoli all day, you'd say, I hate that. It's not, I could do it for a week, but it's maybe won't last longer than that. And it just won't work. So I have right now about 15, let's say, different clients, and they each have a very different protocol because of what kinds of foods they like, of their schedule, of their body. Some have Hashimoto's, one has Wegener's, which is an autoimmune. One has no thyroid at all. Some are, in their 50s, a couple of them are in their 70s, a couple of them are in their 30s, and it's just different. Let me give you, let me just explain. If someone came to me and they said, I'm eating one meal a day and I'm never hungry and I can't lose weight and I get kind of tired in the afternoon. This is a client, by the way, that came to me not long ago, so I'm going to use her as a case study. And I've been trying to lose weight for 8 years, and I can't even lose a single pound. What I would do is say, okay, I want you to actually eat 2 or maybe even 3 times a day and build into that slowly. And I'm going to sprinkle in the right combination of foods for you. Most likely more protein, looking at how much, you're getting at each meal so that it's not too much. If it's too much of anything, your body won't be able to assimilate it and it ends up storing it as fat. So we got to ride at the threshold, but not cross the threshold. And this person, keep in mind, has zero appetite and their body has like major repressed metabolic syndrome. I mean, their metabolism, probably nothing. And then what we're going to do is probably focus on getting into the workouts in a gentle way so that they don't overstress their body. Now, generally after a couple weeks, Anna, they'll say to me, I'm starting to get hungry. And I say, this is a good sign. This means your metabolism is starting to rev up and you're starting to burn more. And then we'll increase their portions a little bit or increase the frequency of meals so that they can, like I said, they don't get all their nutrition in 1 or 2 meals and it's so much that their body can't absorb it. We break it into a little bit more absorbable chunks. And then we would increase their exercise to a very sustainable level, usually 30 minutes, 6 days a week, a blend of weights and cardio in the right frequency. And then all of a sudden they tell me the same thing. Wow. One woman just signed up from the UK with me and she has Hashimoto's. And then the first week she dropped 5 pounds and she's never had so much energy and she's eating more than she's eaten since she was 18 and she's now 49. And that's what happens. The body starts functioning the way it's supposed to, and everything starts normalizing, and you feel you have an appetite, you have energy, your cravings go away, and the body starts dropping. And that's it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. The thing that most people make the mistake of is they count calories. We're both friends with JJ. And she always says the thing about your body's not a bank account, it's a chemistry lab. And it's not calorie in, calorie out. Those 99 out of 100 coaches will say it's calorie in, calorie out. You got to find the 1 out of 100 coaches that understands the body. And if you lined up 10 of those, maybe only 3 would legitimately understand the hormone relationship, like you talk about, Anna, the chemical reaction the food causes on insulin and blood sugar and insulin resistance factors and thyroid function. So you're looking at 3 out of 1,000 trainers or coaches who really understand what to do. And the best ones don't complicate it. They make small, easy adjustments that you can easily apply in your life. So you don't have to count this. You don't have to measure this. It's easy, it's simple, and it integrates. So that's what I would do. I would start her off. If she was eating 1, we'd go to 2, maybe 3, break down the nutrition, start getting her thermogenics, start getting her in the thermogenic state, increase the portions, make sure the exercise is on point, that she's not feeling fatigued, that she's feeling good. And then from there, we would make spot changes. Is she getting cravings? Is she hungry at certain parts of the day and not others? What's her body doing? Is she burning body fat? Is she leveled off? Is she maintaining? And based on that, we make tweaks. And that's how any good coach would do it, is you have to know the person and make tweaks real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you have a free training offer. Can you talk about that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Anna, you and I just love you to death. So I told you, any of your listeners, I'm going to give away my 3 best things for free. Well, these aren't my best things. I mean, my best thing is coaching with me, obviously,
That's
but
right. I was going to say that's one-on-one.
3 amazing things, I should say, for free. One is my masterclass, which is a video masterclass. It's short, sweet, to the point, and it's going to go in depth on the food quadrant, the working out with weights, and the cardio, and how they all come together, give you some case studies so you can see it in action. Number 2, you're going to get my fat loss blueprint, which talks about this in a blueprint way. So you can download it, read it. It gives you some workout examples, some more case studies, etc. And then third is my thermogenic quiz. You can take my thermogenic weight loss quiz and see if you're putting your body into a thermogenic state, or if you're putting it in that catabolic state where it's actually burning muscle and storing fat. So you're going to get all three of those for free. There's no catch. And that way you can kind of see and maybe get some success and see some really quick wins and understand that this works so well and it's so amazing.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so you guys can get that at dranna.com. So dranna.com/Stu. So STU. So you guys just make sure to download that, take Stu's offer. And let's see from this class, from this podcast, from this show that you're listening to today, what's one next right step that you can take? You know, I always encourage you to take your one next right step. And what will that be today? Will that be to explore your food quadrant, your quadrant of getting into the thermogenic state, as Stu has discussed? Where is the next step that you can do? What is the next step that you can do that will make a big shift in your life, and how powerful that will be? Just really embracing yourself. And if you've been stuck for a long time, we talk about this in Plateaus, and my book coming out in April is menu pause, right? Because it's the pauses in our life where the magic happens. So there are menu pauses that we need to make as well. And so that's another way to do that. In the meantime, because that's not out till April, get with the free training, because we need to incorporate the physical exercises and doing it the right way, that's serving you, that's empowering you, that's making you feel, you know, stronger, healthier, firmer, tighter. And think of that example and visualize yourself in that state. There's a really powerful addition to what we've talked about here today that I want each and every one of you to embrace. And I'm so grateful to be here, so grateful to have guests on my show like Stu today. And I encourage all of you to subscribe to YouTube where you can see us, and certainly share, and also get the notifications for when we're doing a show, and also when I'm going live. And I always love to hear from you, because you know I'm the girlfriend doctor, and there's no such thing as TMI. You can ask or tell me anything. I am here for you. Thank y'all for being here, and I look forward to next time.
Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel here and get those notifications, and comment below. Let me know your thoughts, what you loved, and what your action step is.